Hi, my name is Johnny. I'm 8 years old and I live in London. That's in England, in a country where almost everyone loves football. They say we invented football here. It's our home, and that's why we're the best in the world at it. At least, that's what all English people say, even though it's a bit strange, because the last time we won the World Cup was a long time ago. So long ago that my dad wasn't even born yet. Yet we supposedly have great footballers. But somehow it always gets messed up, and then the Scots and the Irish, our neighbors, laugh at us. But I don't care. I'm only 8, and I'm not very interested in football. I don't understand when I hear people saying things like football is the best game in the world, or see big signs saying football brings people together. How can a few guys kicking a ball bring people together? I really don't understand. But back to my dad. His name is Tim, and he's a big fan of a team here in London. I think they're called the Gunners. Yeah, I'm sure it's the Gunners. They have red jerseys and white shorts. I can always tell by my dad's mood whether his team is doing well or not. I have to say that in the few years I can remember, it's been pretty miserable. The Gunners haven't won the league once, and Dad keeps complaining. Yeah, these prima donnas, it's not like it was years ago, when the Gunners were invincible, and we didn't lose a single game all season. Back then, the Gunners were coached by some really smart coach from France. Dad comes home late from work every day and is very tired. He usually just sits down in front of the TV, asks me how school was, eats the dinner Mom made, and then falls asleep on the sofa. It's like this almost every day. Does he spend time with me? Not much. My mom says, you know, Johnny, Dad has to earn money so we can live well. Understand that. Yeah, I try to understand, but I'm only 8. There were days when it just made me sad. Last summer, however, I had a great idea. The football season starts in August, and I'll start watching football with him. That way, we'll be together more often. The Gunners played their first match on Monday evening. I was lucky that it was still the holidays, so I didn't have to go to school the next day. I put on the red Gunners jersey that my dad had bought me once, but I never wore it. Why would I, since I never really enjoyed football? The jersey was almost too small for me, but I wanted to make my dad happy. I wanted him to know that I also support the Gunners. Just like him, I quietly moved over to the TV behind my dad. You're not asleep yet. He shouted at me. No, I'd like to watch football with you, I said quietly. He looked at me for a moment and then nodded slightly. That's how Dad shows he likes something. Great! The players were just coming onto the pitch. The Gunners were playing against a team with a big bird on their badge. I'll have to learn some of the club names and badges. The game started, but I was confused about one thing. The Gunners were playing in white shirts, and I had put on a red one just to match them. Why aren't the Gunners playing in red? I asked. We only play in red when we're at our home stadium. Away games, we wear black or white, Dad replied, without taking his eyes off the TV. I repeated it to myself, red at home, white or black away, okay. I looked alternately at the TV and at my dad, trying to learn as much as possible about football. Come on, I repeated my dad's instructions to the players. I wanted to tell him that the footballers on TV couldn't hear him shouting at them, but I didn't want to spoil the atmosphere. Corner, give it to him on the head, Dad expertly advised the blonde player who was taking the corner. Yeah, put it on his head, I added, using a phrase I had picked up during the first 20 minutes. I noticed that Dad smiled a little. Football obviously has a lot of rules, but he explained everything to me. A big foul gets you a yellow card, and if someone gets 2 yellow cards, They get a red card and have to leave the pitch. Sure. Yellow plus yellow equals red. That makes sense. I asked a lot of questions. Why do goalkeepers wear gloves? Why does the referee have spray behind his belt? How many substitutions can be made? And why are penalties sometimes taken after the match? I don't remember talking so much with my dad in the last year. And suddenly, a cross in front of the goal. Goal! Just like we said, with his head. We both jumped up from the sofa. Dad hugged me, lifted me up in the air, and started spinning me around. We shouted with joy until we fell back onto the sofa and burst into laughter. The last time he spun me like that, well, I don't even remember when. It was great. The goal was scored by player number 11. The Gunners ended up winning the match 2-0. The opposing players scored an own goal at the end of the match. That's a goal that a footballer scores in his own goal instead of the opponent's goal. I don't understand how anyone can mistake the goal when their own goalkeeper is standing in it, but Dad said it happens sometimes. I ended up sleeping in the Gunners' jersey that night. The next day, my dad came home from work a little early and surprised me with the question, "Do you want to go to the pitch and kick the ball around a bit?" I stared at him and was overjoyed. And imagine, for a long time that season, it looked like the Gunners could win the league. My dad believed the coach could do it. They were in first place for almost the entire season, but in the end they were narrowly overtaken by a team that played in light blue jerseys and had a huge girl from Norway with long blonde hair, and a duck-like pout in their attack. I still have to ask my dad about that. I didn't know that girls and boys could play together. But it was definitely my dad's happiest season. Maybe because the Gunners played really well, or because we watched football together. And we also went to play on the pitch. We had something that was ours, only ours. So I guess football really does bring people together. And here ends our football fairy tale.